All right, what up? What up? This is DB talking now. DB talking birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. So Odell Beckham Jr. signs with the Los Angeles Rams. I have not brought that, guys. I have not. We have not talked about this since I last streamed. Um, yeah, I mean, let me go ahead and get some of these few thoughts off my chest about the signing. I mean, if you want to put together what the Rams have done already this season, and then you go ahead and pair it with, their trade for Von Miller a couple weeks ago, who still hasn't played in the game yet, and then they come out and they sign Odell Beckham Jr. They're all in. You can clearly tell that they're all in. They want to continue the success that they're having so far this season. I think Von Miller is going to be a huge help. Obviously, as we've talked about, we know that how big of a acquisition that was for the Los Angeles Rams. But we still don't know what Odell Beckham Jr. is going to do. Is he still talented? Yes, he's still talented of a player. Obviously you can look at the signs and you can point to, oh yeah, he's definitely going to help out this Rams offense. Cooper Kupp is having one of the best seasons of a wide receiver ever in the NFL so far. So, or in the season so far. So I assume, bringing in a presence like Odell Beckham Jr., a talented player like Odell Beckham Jr. into that Rams offense for Matthew Stafford, it's only going to be resulted in success, good things, fortunate things that Matthew Stafford certainly love to have. Despite him having Calvin Johnson when he was with the Detroit Lions, before Calvin Johnson obviously retired, you could probably make the argument that this is the most dynamic, talented wide receiver core that Matthew Stafford has ever had, honestly. You can really make that argument. And he's had some phenomenal wide receivers at his disposal. So a few things I also want to talk about as well. Obviously, Philadelphia Eagles want to jump into it. They lost Mac McCain in waivers to the Denver Broncos, and then they just recently lost safety Elijah Riley to the New York Jets. Obviously, Elijah Riley getting brought in by the Jets due to the fact that Marcus May is hurt. So safety Marcus May is hurt for the Jets, but decent practice squad player, decent guy that they were interested in. The report was that the Eagles kind of wanted to slip him through the waivers, but lo and behold, they did not. They showed him enough promise in preseason and things like that, and in camp, to say that the Philadelphia Eagles like this guy. They probably were going to try and bring him back if he slipped through waivers, but it just didn't pan out so much so that way. So, yeah, guys, also reports of Tyree Jackson. Obviously, Tyree Jackson going to be in his second game back from his injury. He did play a little bit last week for against the Chargers, but Nick Sirianni, at some point during this week in one of his press conferences, did hint at a possible bigger role for Tyree Jackson. So I think that causes some excitement. It gets us going. It gets us, excited about what we're going to see from Tyree Jackson. I know when it came to the preseason, when it came to camp, just to watch the way that he performed in the preseason, made me excited about his growth and his development and to see what he could bring. See if he's going to be another one of those Jordan Mailata type players. Obviously, Jordan Mailata coming from rugby, not knowing anything about the NFL and da-da-da-da-da-da. However, Tyree Jackson is another quarterback transition to tight end prospect, and 6'7", obviously 268 pounds, huge, big man. So, in my opinion, there were signs that made him look like Jimmy Graham, in the preseason. So he really did look like that. So, some confusing things as well is Miles Sanders apparently yesterday or the day before, put out on social media saying that I'm back, when clearly, that's a miscommunication because he's on injured reserve right now. He has to miss at least 3 games. So this would be his 3rd game that he would be missing. But so hopefully there's nothing to that. Hopefully there's nothing more to that. I don't think that there is. I just think that he's excited to come back in this run-heavy offense that Nick Sirianni has been putting out onto the field. Speaking of Nick Sirianni, speaking of this offense, let's go ahead and jump into key things that we'll need to be talking about that could probably help the Eagles get a win. I think they're gonna need to do more with Jalen Hurts in this game, have him throw the ball a little bit more. Obviously, you're going to want to continue to get that ground game going. As long as this Philadelphia Eagles offense can find ways to successfully run the ball, it really does help Jalen Hurts because they're able to set up the play action based off of that, and that's kind of really how him and Devontae Smith started to get going versus the Chargers. Again, I think they should come out kind of like against the Chargers, like they did against the Chargers, target Dallas Goedert early and often. But Jalen's got to be more pinpoint on his passes to Dallas Goedert. Obviously, we don't want to see what we saw early in the game last week against the Chargers. If you have the opportunity to get the first down, if you have the opportunity to score in the red zone, do it. Do it. That's it. Do it. Just do it. That's the only way that you can improve, obviously, because, these are things that they're talking about every single week. We have to get better at converting on 3rd down. We have to get better at keeping the ball on the field. We have to get better at scoring in the red zone. The Eagles actually, percentage-wise, are actually pretty good at that as long as they get in the red zone. That's the thing. But yeah, they have to continue this efficiency. Consistency is huge. And I hope that Nick Sirianni can continue to develop. Obviously, over the last 2 weeks, which is another interesting thing. The Eagles have shown plenty of signs of improvement on offense. Obviously, going 1-1 in the last 2 weeks. Also, other thing that needs to be talked about as well is over the last 2 weeks, Nick Sirianni has brought quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson down onto the sideline with him. And you can say that that's not a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal. Brian Johnson, our quarterbacks coach, former offensive coordinator for Florida, or head coach, might be head coach, was and did some phenomenal things with that Florida State offense last year. Obviously the offense contained Kyle Trask at quarterback and Kadarius Toney, but all the same, they were absolutely stellar. So it's not like quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson doesn't know a thing or two about the offense or how to call a successful offensive game plan. So I think that's an interesting thing. I think it's a big deal, and I think that it's worth mentioning. I think Nick Sirianni is starting to figure this head coaching thing out. I really do believe that. And I'll also back that up with, obviously him and Jalen Hurts are starting to have meetings every single Friday. And their communication is better and is better than ever. And their communication continues to improve. So those are obviously things that you want to do with your quarterback anyway. Not franchise quarterback. I'm not going to say that. Those are things that you want to do with your starting quarterback anyway, so that you can kind of get a feel for what they're feeling before you guys go into the game, and you can and then your quarterback can get a feel for what the head coach is feeling going into the game, and then talk about it. See what they think might work. See what they think might not. Things like that. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick did that all the time when Tom Brady was in New England. So, there's a lot to talk about. The defense has to play smarter. The defense has to play better. Obviously, defensive line has to really come out and show up against Teddy Bridgewater, who is averaging a 70% completion on the year for quarterbacks, and for quarterbacks that's phenomenal. And we know how decent to great quarterbacks have done versus the Philadelphia Eagles defense so far this season. So, obviously with Justin Herbert with 32 for 38. Dak Prescott had a phenomenal completion percentage. Tom Brady had a phenomenal completion percentage. Derek Carr had a phenomenal completion percentage, all above 80%. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Teddy Bridgewater is going to throw for 90 for a 90 completion percentage? I mean, that would not be a recipe for success for the defense. So, they have to get better at playing sound football on the defensive side. But Jonathan Gannon, I mean, if he can't get this thing corrected, and they continue to give up high completion percentages, I don't know how you make the argument for this guy. And other than the fact that he might not have the personnel to run his defense successfully, yeah, maybe you can bring that in. You can bring that in all day long, but at the same time, above 80% completion percentage, 80% completion. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So, but other than that, guys, it's pretty much all that I wanted to get into. This is DB Talking now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be live with you guys tomorrow, and then we can talk more about the game going into the game. Peace.